She barged in like she owned the place. Music blasting, cars lined up across the driveway. And people carrying drinks into the backyard like it was some public park. I was standing on my own porch, stunned. She raised her hand, pointed straight at me, and shouted loud enough for the whole lakefront to hear. He doesn't even belong here. This house is under HOA rules, and I'm in charge. We're using the lake tonight. I kept my voice calm, but my chest was burning. This is my land. You didn't ask. You didn't get permission. Karen laughed, sipping from her wine glass. Permission? You're lucky I'm even letting you live here. This neighborhood has standards. You don't fit. Guests kept pouring in. Cars on the lawn. Jet skis in the water. Some even dragged coolers across my dock like it was theirs. I watched a group of strangers jump into my swimming pool while Karen clapped her hands like a queen. My phone buzzed. I had a dozen security alerts, every camera recording. She didn't know every step they took was being saved. She leaned closer, smirking. Don't bother calling the cops. They already know me. You're just some guy with a big house. But I run this neighborhood. I didn't move. I just let her words sink in because she had no idea. No idea who I really was, or how this night was going to end for her. And when the first car scratched my gate pulling in, I finally whispered to myself. Every guest that walks through that door just cost her $100,000. Karen strutted across my deck in high heels like it was her stage, shouting instructions at her guests. A DJ dragged in speakers the size of refrigerators, blasting bass that shook the windows of my home. Neighbors peeked out from their houses. Some whispering, some filming. But nobody dared to confront her. She thrived on that fear. Relax, big man, she mocked, waving her glass toward me. You can stay in your little corner, watch us have fun. Consider it. Community spirit. I clenched my jaw. This isn't community. This is trespassing. Her grin widened. Not when the HOA says it's allowed. And guess what? I am the HOA. That line made a few guests laugh. But they didn't notice the small detail, her fake notices. The ones she'd taped on my door last week. Claiming violations that didn't exist. I'd kept them. Every one. Then, just to twist the knife deeper, she walked over to my boat dock, holding up her phone. Take a picture of me here. She called to her friends. This is our lake now. He can't stop us. The crowd cheered, bottles popped open. And for a moment it looked like a full-blown festival had taken over my backyard. But behind the noise, my lawyer's number was already on speed dial. And every camera on my property was streaming live to the cloud. She thought she had the upper hand. She thought I was powerless. But when one of her drunk guests stumbled and cracked a glass bottle on the edge of my pool, bleeding into the water, I finally spoke loud enough for all of them to hear. Every step you take on this land is already costing you. And when the bill comes, you'll wish you never walked through that gate. Karen froze for half a second, then laughed it off, pretending she wasn't rattled. But I saw it, the flicker in her eyes. She had no idea the trap was already closed. The night spun out of control fast. Karen's so-called guests were drunk, diving into the lake, blasting fireworks over the water like it was the 4th of July. One guy even tried to park his truck on my front lawn, tearing up the grass I'd just had landscaped. I didn't move to stop them. I didn't raise my voice. I just stood with my phone in hand, watching it all get recorded in high definition. Karen climbed onto my patio table like a performer, shouting, "This is what freedom looks like. No man is gonna tell me what I can or can't do. Especially not him." She jabbed her finger in my direction. And a chorus of cheers followed. But the same neighbors who once stayed quiet were now stepping outside. Phones raised. Some were whispering, some shaking their heads. A few shouted back, "That's his house. You can't do that." Karen ignored them, her fake confidence never breaking. She marched right up to me, her breath thick with alcohol. And hissed, "I warned you. You don't belong here. By tomorrow, you'll be gone." I tilted my head, calm as ever. "You sure about that?" Before she could spit out another word, flashing red and blue lights lit up the road. 2 police cruisers rolled up, sirens cutting through the chaos. Guests scattered toward the backyard, hiding bottles and trying to look innocent. Karen clapped her hands like she had summoned them herself. Perfect timing. She shouted, "Officers, arrest this man. He's trespassing on HOA property." I almost laughed at the insanity, but I let it play out. The cop stepped out, looking between me and Karen, confused. She shoved her fake HOA badge in their faces, pointing back at me. "This man is illegally occupying this mansion. I'm the HOA president, and I demand he be removed." The taller officer raised an eyebrow, then turned slowly to me. "Sir, is this true?" I didn't even flinch. I unlocked my phone, held up the deed, and said quietly, "No, officer. This is my house. And everything she just said is a lie you'll want on record." The silence that fell over the yard was heavier than all the music combined. Karen's smile twitched, but she doubled down. "Don't listen to him. He's lying. I have documents." She fumbled in her purse, pulling out wrinkled printouts of fake violation letters. The same ones she had taped to my door. She shoved them toward the officers like they were gold. The shorter cop glanced at the papers, then at me. "Sir, you got proof of ownership?" I handed him my phone. On the screen was the county record with my name. Time-stamped security footage of her barging in. And a live feed still rolling in the cloud. "That's my deed. Those are my cameras. And that." I pointed toward Karen's guests still partying in the background. "Is 100 counts of trespassing. Minimum." The taller officer's jaw tightened. He looked back at Karen. "Ma'am, where do you live?" Karen scoffed. "Excuse me. I am the HOA president, I don't answer to. Where do you live?" He asked again, this time sharper. The crowd went quiet. Some of her own guests whispered nervously. The truth slipped out when one neighbor muttered, "She doesn't even own property here. She rents 2 blocks away." The taller cop's face hardened. He folded her papers slowly, like trash, and tucked them under his arm. "Ma'am, impersonating an HOA official is fraud. Hosting an unpermitted gathering on private property is trespassing. And calling in a false report." He looked straight into her eyes. "That's a crime." Karen's glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the deck. Her friends started edging toward the gate, pretending they weren't part of it. But I stopped them with one sentence. "Don't bother running. Every one of you already walked past 6 security cameras. And every guest on my land tonight will be named in the lawsuit." Karen spun toward me, her voice cracking for the first time. You can't do that. You can't sue everyone." I stepped closer, lowering my voice so only she and the nearest officers could hear. "Watch me." The taller cop pulled out his cuffs. "Ma'am, turn around. Hands behind your back." The entire backyard froze as the sound of metal locking echoed louder than the music ever had. Karen kicked and screamed as the cuffs clicked shut, shouting about her rights and how this neighborhood is mine. But nobody believed her anymore. The guests who once cheered now filmed her humiliation, posting it live. One by one, they slipped out through the gate. Their laughter gone, replaced by silence and guilt. The cops led her toward the cruiser, but I stopped them with a calm voice. "Officers, before she goes, make sure you log the damages: broken fence, pool glass, torn lawn. And please note the security footage. My lawyer will need it." Karen whipped her head around, eyes blazing. "You'll regret this." I looked her straight in the eye. "No. You'll regret stepping on land that was never yours." The neighbors who had been hiding finally stepped forward, clapping softly, then louder, until it rolled across the street. For the first time, nobody feared her. They saw her for what she was, a fraud exposed. Within a week, every guest at that party received a letter from my attorney. $100,000 in damages per person. The panic spread like wildfire. Some begged to settle, others tried to fight, but the evidence was ironclad. And Karen? She was hit with the largest share. Fraud, trespassing, false police report, and civil penalties stacked high. At the final hearing, the judge's gavel echoed like thunder. You will pay. In full. Karen collapsed in her chair, defeated, while I stood tall. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't celebrate. I just said the words I'd been waiting to speak since that night. I fought for this country so no one could take my freedom. Or my home. Not her. Not anyone. The courtroom fell silent, but the message was clear. Justice wasn't just served, it was carved into stone. And when I walked back to my lakefront mansion, sun setting over the water, I knew one thing for certain. No one would ever try to steal it again.